Oh, hello, and welcome to Dente Rigamortis. I'm Review Cultist.
And I'm Dr. Leviathan.
And we're here to discuss those internet stories most creepy and most pasta. Tonight we have Ted the Caver. So for those of you just tuning in, you can go Google creepypasta if you want to know what it is, but in essence it's creepy campfire stories that get posted, like copied and pasted across the internet. So Ted the Caver was originally set up like a blog in 2000 to 2001 on an Angelfire /trek/caver.html. It's on creepypasta.wiki now, and it's on several other locations. There's a good reading of it by Coolmatter1 on YouTube. We will have a link of that in the description below. So we'll jump right into this one. Effectively, Ted the Caver is this guy named Ted, who is a hobbyist caver, like a guy who goes into caves and explores them. And he's had a strange occurrence happen while involving a new cave that him and a friend have discovered. So he then proceeds to go into...
Well, it's an old cave.
It's an old cave, but they found a hole in the side of one of the walls that has air flowing through it. So they decide that it might be a new cave that no one's ever discovered, and they're so excited about it because it's an adventure. So they decide to go and
correct me if I'm wrong, but this
it's
hole...
it's about the size of a foot, or like not even like a foot long, in diameter when they first encounter it.
Okay, that's
a fist-sized.
It's not even that big.
Yeah, it's like fist-sized.
It's not even a fist size, is what I'm saying.
Okay, yeah.
That's not a hole, or that's not a cave. That is a hole. This isn't a tunnel, it's a hole.
Yeah, but I mean, they obviously probably looked into it and saw there's more to it than just a small hole.
Well, yes, but what I'm saying is that this is, I don't know.
We're right off the get-go, and we're already complaining about it. Awesome.
Just on the premise of looking for something new to explore, why would you, make a hole that's this size big enough for you to get through?
Yeah.
That's just...
It's their hook to get the story going. May not be a very good one.
My problem with this hook is actually probably my biggest problem with this entire story. It draws it on for way too long. If the hole had just been man-sized to begin with, the story would have gone a lot faster.
Yeah.
Would have had a better flow. Would have had a decent progression. Would have had a lot less... We went there for a day and we drilled and we hammered and we drilled and we hammered.
And we heard
then
some
we
weird
went
noises.
To the motel. No.
Yeah,
Not even time. What I'm saying...
Okay.
The days where they didn't hear noises.
And
just hammered and drilled and hammered and drilled. And then went to a motel, slept, woke up, bright and eyed and bushy-tailed the next day. Hammered and drilled, hammered and drilled. Oh, this day we heard something. Hammered and drilled, hammered and drilled.
Yeah. It is a very, drawn out, just before, things start getting good, it just kind of draws it out with this minutia of the drilling, of, trying to get this, a hole large enough to get into this tunnel. And, I mean, I read this a couple of months, probably about a year or two ago, and liked the story, was engrossed. But, reading it and listening to it again... it was just I did find myself just all right, come on, enough of the. All right, you drilled and you hammered to make this thing large enough. All right, it's large enough. Let's go into the crevasse.
And nothing happens. On all of those occasions.
Yeah, they hear weird.
Oh, I hear no. You're in a fucking cave. Of course you heard weird noises.
Of course, but. Think of it from the story's angle, they're trying to add some flavor to the story.
No. I'm not going to think about it from the story's angle. I'm trying to think about it as someone who wants to be entertained. I'm going to look at it from that angle. Because you know what? That's what I fucking am!
Yeah.
I want to be entertained. I don't want to just pour over this fucking log of hammered and drilled.
Sparsed in with some, like, oh, in case you're not a caver, here's some information about caving.
Oh yeah, this whole thing just takes complete delight in assuming that caving is some great, like, don't get me wrong, I know it's
a sense of adventure, like wonderment.
I know
stuff
it's
like that.
a complicated thing, and I know that, you know, like,
people enjoy it. Or, like, there are
well,
people,
no,
there's, like,
no,
seekers-
I'm not even talking
okay.
about that.
Sorry.
I'm talking about how, like, caving is, you know, fairly complicated and fairly risky.
Yeah.
Like, you know, in the safest circumstances, there's still an element of risk. But this story takes so much delight in just, you know, showing off how much
These guys spent,
Senior
like, wasted
Ted
time.
knows
Yeah.
about caving. And
yet he doesn't know what the composition of the, like, the rock in the, like, thing is. He just knows, like, oh, it's red and black colored rock. Like, I noticed, like, that, like, he knows a lot about caving, but he doesn't know a lot about, like, geology or caves in, like, as they're, like, what makes them up and stuff.
Mhm.
Which,
don't get me wrong, I can understand why someone interested in one would want to know the other, but I can also understand
like,
having a complete disinterest and, like, a complete lack of fucks to give
Yeah.
about geology if you're a caver. Because
also for me, like, that the fact that he didn't know that, like, he admitted
I
he
like
didn't know that
steak,
stuff.
but
Yeah.
I don't want to raise cattle.
Yeah.
And I don't know the first thing about raising cattle.
Yeah. Like, that was one thing I did like about, or I kind of liked about his description and stuff, is that the character itself, like, he's just a hobbyist caver. He's not, like, he's not a geologist. He's not, like, an academic about it kind of thing. He's just a thrill seeker.
Except for
that
the
likes
fact
going
that
to
he's
caves.
pretentious as fuck about it.
Yeah, I mean, he does go on and on about how the processes of caving, but... So, to spare Leviathan's sanity, we won't go into the minutia that this story decides to go in for, like,
What is that? The word on your word of the day calendar?
Yes, it is. I like that word. Leave me alone.
I'm just saying, you've used it like 6 times already.
What can I say? It's fun to say. Anyway, so they... Yeah,
So's hyperbole, but you don't hear me throwing it into every fucking...
fine. So... They eventually get the hole large enough that they can squeeze through it. And then they proceed to go into, like, start trying to get through the tunnel. And they find, like, there's some obstacles there, like some parts of the tunnel are too narrow that they can barely squeeze through without hurting themselves.
Well, and they can't. Only Ted can.
Yeah, Ted,
until they bring Joe.
Yeah.
But that's later.
Yeah.
And that's another part that just fucking goes on and on.
I see it, like, I mean, that part, like, him going through the tunnel, I see it as kind of like they're trying to build in, like, the claustrophobia element of the story. Like, I can understand why they went on and on about it. It's this whole story.
Yes, but it went on and on about it.
Yeah.
Way too fucking long.
Yeah. Okay.
Like,
in a nutshell, this story is effectively a slow burn creepiness.
that implies that there is a burn.
I think there is. I mean, honestly, I felt claustrophobic reading certain parts of this when I first read it. Not so much with the second time around, but the first time.
Maybe it's just because I don't really have a huge problem with claustrophobia. Like, I have some, but not really. I don't know if that makes sense to you or the listeners, but...
Yeah, I mean, I do have a
but
respectful fear of claustrophobia.
Like, and I'm not saying that if you put me in a fucking, you know, box that's barely big enough to hold me, that I'm gonna be, you know, okay with it.
Yeah.
But it just goes on and on about his fucking crawl through the goddamn tunnel. I literally skipped paragraphs of this fucking bit because it was all the same. Oh, scratch my back. Fucking suck it up or make the hole bigger.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care about your misfortune on your self-inflicted
thrill-seeking adventure.
Exactly. Like, seriously, you spent weeks making this, you know, hole as big as you could. Why didn't you just make it a little bit bigger? I mean, like, you've already spent weeks. Why not spend a little bit more time?
Yeah. Yeah. Like,
Or
what's another
stop bitching about it.
Yeah.
And I mean, I saw what they were trying to do. He was trying to make you feel claustrophobic while he was in the tunnel, but it didn't work because it just kept going on and on. Eventually, like, basically, this story's trying to be a slow burn, but it takes so fucking long that the slow burn for terror, it doesn't catch light. It extinguishes itself because it just takes too fucking long. And instead ignites the flame of rage, which burns far faster and far brighter than this story is willing to accept.
So I take it you don't like the story.
No, I didn't.
Okay, just want to clear that. Eventually, they get through the cave, or through the tunnel. Ted does, because B, the other guy, can't fit through the tunnel at all. So, I can't remember, does the other guy, does he show up before or after, like, Ted goes in for a full exploration? Or does Ted gets onto the other side of the cave, and there's crystal formations, and there's the hieroglyphs that he finds, or the cave paintings he finds, or the cave drawing, I guess. The symbol. Yeah. That, and for some reason, his camera that he brought down there worked fine everywhere else except this convenient
which
plot
doesn't
spot.
even fucking matter.
Yeah.
Like, the fact that it doesn't photograph this has no bearing on anything.
Yeah, I mean, also, with this story, like, he has a ton of, like, photos and images to go along with, like, what he's describing, so that it helps the viewer understand a little bit more of what's going on, or the process. But, yeah.
Because the fucking yards of fucking text don't fucking make that clear.
Yeah, of course not. And so, yeah, they have been hearing these weird, like, shifting of rock sounds and stuff like that while they were doing the tunnel building, or tunnel excavating and stuff. And he goes in, doesn't see any noticeable sign of that noise or anything like that, except for some weird rock formations and the crystals and the glyphs. But then goes back out because they want somebody else to go in there with him, because he also felt some kind of, like, foreboding, like he was being watched, I think, in that. So they bring in this other guy. Yeah, it was. So they bring in this other guy, and he comes in with them, and he's a little bit lankier than Ted, so he's able to get through the tunnel a lot easier. And does Ted get stuck? Like, at that point, like, the first guy goes in first, goes through the tunnel, and then Ted is...
He bonks it.
Yeah, he bonks... Yeah, that's what happened. Bonks his head, and comes to, but then, like...
well, he doesn't get knocked out. He hits
he has
his
to
head,
hold
and he
off
doesn't feel well after that,
Yeah.
which...
Like the Leviathan is pantomiming boo-hoo. So the guy goes farther into the cave than Ted is while he's nursing his head wound, and he's gone for a good while. And they shout out and ask for him, and then they hear him running back, and they're like, "Hey, are you okay?" And he's just, his one word is like "no," and he just, like, starts scurrying through the tunnel. And they get out through the tunnel, and he just is gone. Like, he runs out of the cave. Like, barely leaving them, like, behind, and then, like, he just wants to get out of there. He just wants to leave. So, and he doesn't even talk to them about what he saw or anything like that. He just goes home.
Like, I didn't see nothing. Let's get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, nope, let's go. And he just goes home, and nothing ever really, like, they can't contact him. Like, they try phoning him. They try going to his house. He's just not replying at all. And then Ted goes back into the cave, into the tunnel. And goes in where this other guy went through, sees everything, but then, like, his light goes out, but luckily he has the glow sticks.
His light, but
right,
then
yes.
his mag light, he hasn't changed the batteries in, but it's okay because he's got glow sticks. But the first one was cracked accidentally, so it's already useless.
Yeah,
for no fucking point, but don't worry, because he's got
adding,
two more.
Adding
nothing. Adding words to a sea of words.
That's a story.
That's like, yeah, but there's no reason to have the first fucking glow stick.
I could see it maybe like, oh shit, like he's running out of supplies. He's running out of, like, trying to up the ante a little bit because he no longer has his flashlight, no longer has the the mag light and one of his glow sticks broken. But then, yeah, it does kind of defeat it
But
when there's
then
2 other ones.
3 seconds later, he's got fucking a glowing glow stick.
I'm just saying, it
doesn't up the ante, it just prolongs the inevitable.
All right. So he's walking around in this...
It's like, oh shit, I'm out of bullets. Oh wait.
No, I'm not.
I've got more bullets.
I've got another gun. Yeah.
Like,
hello, Alan Wake. No. So he's walking around in the dark with just a glow stick, and he's trying to get out of there because he's getting really freaked out. And he sees that rock formation, that round rock formation on the.
It's not a rock formation; it's a rock.
Oh, it's just a round. Okay, I thought
it's a big ass rock.
For some reason, I thought it was a rock formation.
Well, all rocks.
I mean, yeah, technically, yeah.
But yeah,
semantics.
It's just a rock.
Yeah,
and it was covering a tunnel.
Oh, that's what was shift. That what was they were hearing the shifting sound. Oh God, what's in here? And he just was running away.
And who cares at this point?
Well, I think that's actually one. Okay, we'll get into that afterward. So he runs. He gets the hell out of there. Like he hears something behind him. He smells something foul. He gets through the tunnel.
He runs out as fast as he can, crawling on your belly with no room.
Yeah, as he can, and he gets out.
And it's as exciting a chase scene as I'm making it sound.
And him and B get out. They climb up, and they something grabs the rope as they're when they get up to the into this cave, out of this cave, because this cave is kind of like a pit, or like there's like a you have to dangle down
the side of a cliff.
Was that what was going on? Fuck, I thought it was like a hole in the ground that they'd found. Okay, wow. Anyway, so
how many times have you read and listened to this story?
Twice. Oh yeah, third time. Yeah.
No wonder I noticed that. You don't even know how many times you read it, but I do.
So they get up to the tree where it's tied up to the rope, and the rope is getting tugged by something. So B just cuts the rope, and then they get out of there, and they just don't go back to the cave for a couple of weeks, and that's when they start experiencing like nightmares and hallucinations, and he's on meds because of his back pain and stuff like that, and so he's not sure if that's the cause of it. Eventually, he finds himself...
No. He got meds because of his anxiety that he's feeling because of what happened in the cave. But he doesn't actually explain what happened in the cave. It's just like, oh man, I can't calm down. So they give him drugs. And apparently they're good drugs. And as someone who's on anxiety medication, yeah, my drugs aren't that good.
Yeah.
Like, I genuinely don't notice unless I'm put in a situation that would normally trigger my anxiety, and it doesn't get triggered.
Yeah.
I don't get high off of my anxiety medication.
So what the hell is he on? It's almost like the writer doesn't know what drugs do. Or what medical drugs do. Anyway.
Well, he doesn't actually say what they are, yeah. So I'm willing to give him, because I don't know everything about pharmaceuticals either. But it was just one of those things where I was just like, really?
See, my mind just went to like, I thought they were painkillers. So
no.
Okay,
but he said they help with his back, which again doesn't seem right.
Yeah. We'll get into this in the actual discussion. We're still in the rundown, Doctor.
They're two different fucking things.
So, eventually he doesn't feel safe in his house, so he just, like, kind of gets up and drives off. And eventually finds the, a lookout point that oversees the town they're in. And lo and behold, B's there, too. Yeah, he is.
Joe, you did.
Was it Joe?
Holy shit. Fuck, man.
No, it was B.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
It was B.
Joe.
Look it up.
No, I don't have to. And I'm not going to, because it was Joe. I am 8 gabillion. Yeah, I'm so sure that I'm making up numbers. Right. % sure that it was Joe.
Alright, for the sake of argument... No, fine. Alright. It's... Fine. Joe.
It's Joe.
Uh-huh. Is also...
Fuck you. Fuck you, you fucking fuck. P.S. You're keeping all this silence in because this is your fault.
Alright.
Now I have to scroll through this fucking epic length non-epic just so I can show you that it was fucking Joe. Okay. I felt compelled to get in the car and drive, right?
Yeah. Okay.
My pulse pounded, my temples, blah, 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 blah. I wanted to drive to Overlook Point to see the city lights. I don't know why I needed to go there, but I knew I had to go. The closer I got, the more urgent the feeling. When I arrived at the point, I saw something that at first startled me, but then caused me to be more relaxed than I had been in a long time. Joe was there!
Wow, okay. I apologize, Dr. Leviathan.
Damn right you apologize. Now, apologize to our listeners.
Listeners, I would like to apologize for my indiscrepancy, or my inaccuracy.
No. You apologize to them for trying to cast doubt on me, because that's what you tried to do.
Listeners, I would like to apologize for casting doubt on you to Dr. Leviathan. Dr. Leviathan was correct. All right, so, yeah. So
he doesn't make mistakes.
Uh-huh. So, yeah, he meets Joe at the top of this hill, and he can't just look. They just exchange a look, and then they say that they're going to meet and go down to the cave.
He's like, "You been back?" Ted's like, "Yes, we need to return. Tomorrow good? Yeah, noon."
Groovy. And
this is two people who barely know each other, from my understanding.
Yeah. And
then he goes to B's house.
Yeah. Okay. That's probably where I got confused. And discusses it over with B, and they all get their gear together, and he has already previously bought a gun, and he's going down in the cave with that, and a bunch of other stuff.
And apparently, if you get it through a newspaper ad, you don't have to wait for, a waiting period, and you don't need a permit.
I'm not going to lie, I just attribute that to being in America.
I attribute that to someone who, based on all the other things they don't know, doesn't know gun laws. Because I'm...
Quite possibly.
Now, I could be grossly mistaken, but I like to think that I live in a world where it's not that easy to get a gun legally for anyone anywhere. I know some places it is, but...
Yeah. So, so he pretty much leaves off with that they're going down and going to figure out the mystery of this cave.
Don't worry, you'll hear from me soon. And then we never hear from him again.
Yeah, because the last update of that blog
was 2001. And the world
2001.
doesn't give a shit.
Actually, surprisingly, a lot of people do give a shit, apparently. But it's never answered because the writer of this decided to leave it leave it on an end as like what happened to them. Oh my god, blah blah blah. End.
Who the fuck cares?
Look, just because you don't like this, I mean, I know people who like this story, so.
That's great. I know people who like lots of shitty things. Wasn't gonna say anything, but yeah, I myself like shitty things. It doesn't mean that they're redeemed by the fact that someone likes it.
Probably not. Anywho. So, yeah, that was Ted the Caver. I don't know. I liked the ending because, it gave me when I first read this, I was hooked into it because I wanted to know what the hell was on the other side of that cave. Like it kept.
I liked the ending too because it's over.
So, yeah. I mean, I could definitely do without a lot of that tedium. A lot of that extra words that involving the digging process of this cave, but I just and it does go on for a ungodly amount of time. But I still like the idea. It did rise some suspense because I want to know what the hell was it like.
But that doesn't save. Okay, the fact that yes, it was kind of a cool idea does not save the fact that it was horribly executed. Because it gets dragged on for so long. If I wanted to read War and Peace, I would read War and Peace. If I wanted a scary story about, caving, I would watch The Descent.
Yeah.
Why? Because at least it knows what it is and gets its shit out of the way.
Yeah.
This... just look at all of this words for, just days upon days of nothing happening.
Yeah, of just describing the just ridiculous amounts of of just working, like toiling away at a friggin' stone wall, essentially.
Yeah.
So
they're mining without the proper mining equipment is what they're doing.
Yep.
And it's fucking tedious.
I will concede that because second read around, I was getting bored really fast. So, but I do like the idea. So it's like,
yes, but that doesn't save the fact that it was just, like I said, it was buried under all of this shit. There is this much story, and for some reason, and by this much I'm making a very small hole with my hand, because I'm using the story itself as a metaphor, and then they dug it out into this much story, and I'm now holding my hands about far enough apart that I could shimmy through. The problem is that there's only enough meat in this story
for the small hole.
Yeah, and all of this expansion is completely unnecessary. This isn't a story about finding out what's on the other side of a tunnel. This is a story about making a small hole big.
Yeah.
With a side note.
In theory, it was supposed to be about what was on the other side of that cave.
With
but
a
in
side
practice,
note
it was
of something in a cave.
Yeah.
That's my problem.
Okay.
Because, yes, the majority of this story is about them making a hole big.
Yeah, of trying to get to the other side of that tunnel. In
and
theory,
if I wanted to read a story about digging a hole, I would reread The Great Escape. And that book is awesome. So is the movie. This story is not.
Alright. Yeah, I'd still recommend it, like,
Oh, I'd recommend the shit out of The Great Escape.
Yeah. I don't know, I'd recommend it under if... No, you know what? I'm trying to think.
You know what?
Listen to the podcast.
Dig up an old VHS copy of The Great Escape. It's a two cassette movie. Okay, pop in the first cassette. Watch that. Then throw in a copy of Descent. Watch that. Then watch the second cassette of The Great Escape. That's essentially what this experience is.
Yeah. Alright. I will not recommend this one, but I will recommend, at the very least, if you're a avid creepypasta reader, checking out a rundown of this one. Because it is one of the... surprisingly, it is a very popular one among people who read creepypastas. I mean, we did get this one suggested to us by multiple people. So, but... I mean, if you don't have the patience or even want to read just minutia and tedium of building a big hole to get through, and then
crawling through said fucking hole.
Yeah, I still think that the crawling that process does create
but it was drawn out too long.
Yeah,
I knew what they were trying to do as they were trying to do it, but it didn't stop the fact that they just fucking kept going on and beating me over the head with it. Like, okay, I get it. You could try turning up the subtlety, turning down the, I'm gonna beat you over the head with a piece of cooked celery until you die from it.
Yeah, okay. So, yeah. I guess would not recommend from both of us.
I genuinely, no, I can't. That, and also...
I'd recommend looking it up. The information about it, but that's
as soon as he said or wrote down, I transcribed my journal, as I wrote it, so forgive the spelling errors and shit. I immediately just fucking got pissed off. I'm like, oh, now you have fucking free reign to not fucking spell check. You shitheel. Don't cop out like that, people. Spell check your creepypastas.
For the love of God. Yeah, I also don't have anything else to say about this one.
That's because that's how much substance is in it.
Mm-hmm.
If it had have been
a little bit
way fucking shorter,
like
if the hole had already been big enough to crawl through, but no one had before.
Yeah.
Because, it really did look so small, and the only way he got through it was because he was, smaller than B.
Yeah.
That would have been fine. And then the creepiness, like, all of that stuff, I mean, obviously, you wouldn't have had, like, all of the instances of noise and wind and shit.
You could probably, like, skim that down and, like, have key points.
If they had to just...
It definitely did need a little bit more, like, maybe, like, cliff notes on what was going on.
It needed hacked and slashed. Yeah. No, honestly, if that hole had been big enough from the get-go, and, they had done, like, a couple of explorations into it, and everything had played out just the way it was, it would have been fine. Mm-hmm. But with the fact that you spend forever reading about hole digging, well, hole drilling and hammering,
yeah,
it just completely exhausted my interest before anything happened.
Gotcha. Yeah, and, like, just thinking on it now, I mean, they try to add in some things to, like, foreshadow what's going on, but there's too much friggin', like, just digging a hole. Like, there's not enough, like, something supernatural or something weird going on. Yeah, the dog, like, they bring a dog down, like, earlier in the series, and the dog just, like, does not want to go near that hole, but that's about the extent we get of that.
No shit, we know there's something on the other side of that hole. That's why we're fucking here reading the story.
Exactly, yeah. And, like, when he was, like, when he was in the tunnel and he heard the shifting of rock, my first, like, thing was not anything weird. It was just like, and the roof collapses. Because that's a real threat when it comes to caving.
That would be especially when you're in a tunnel that you and your friend have fucking basically hand drilled out
and hammered, like, relentlessly. Like, you separated a support or something like that, and that's like when he, like, said he was, like, frozen so like in the middle of the tunnel. It's like, how horrifying would it be if the ceiling dropped an inch?
Well, that wouldn't happen because it's solid rock, but
I mean, like, or if like part of it got lodged out, like, or like part of the rock dislodged or something. I would just find that very, like, I would think that would be actually an interesting, like, plot point in this, in that the guy like, after naming it what he names it after a famous caver who got stuck and died in a crevasse in history or something like that, and I would just think it would be, like, kind of irony for that, like, to have that plot point in around where they had, in that tunnel where they had named it. I don't know, probably not.
Except for the fact that he's writing this, so
he's obviously alive.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, obviously we would have a point where he was able to manage out of it, but there would be that, like, point where, like, you still, like, feel like you slightly get out away from, like, oh right, he's writing this, where you're just like, oh shit, what the fuck's going on?
Okay, in this story, that would have been completely unfucking called for. Because in this story, there's already enough fucking padding.
That's true. That is true. Okay. Yeah.
The last thing this needs is more shit that doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
In the ideal version of this, where the hole was already big enough, or whatever,
yeah,
maybe. But I can't foresee that reality because I'm stuck in this one.
Fair enough. Okay, so
I'm willing to concede that might have made it a better story if it had been a better story in the first place.
Yeah. Okay, so forget about the fact that, I mean, this tunnel is, like, they go on and on about the tunnel building and stuff like that. The mystery of what's on the other side. Okay, let's just talk about that for a second. I do like the idea of, like, that he never actually describes, like, he gives us descriptions of things that of whatever's behind in that cave. Like, he gives us the weird hieroglyphic thing, or the weird cave drawing, the weird smell, the weird noises and stuff like that. But we never actually get to see what it is. I think that was actually effective in keeping people, like, wanting to know what the hell was going on the other side of that cave. Thoughts?
Well, yeah, that's always
okay.
I mean, that's...
And, like, we never get a full...
That's why the classic horror movies, like Alien and shit like that, that's why they're so good, because they didn't have the technology to show you this great fucking multi-armed, tail-whipping beast.
Yeah. I'm just saying, it was effectively... that part of the story was implemented very well. At least come near the end, because by the end, like we saw,
yes,
we indirectly,
it was done well, but it was, I mean, you also never get payoff for it.
True, but I mean, I also do like the part that these guys got so obsessed with this cave by the end of it, anyway, that, well, I mean, actually through the entire fucking story. But after they get away from this beast, they get obsessed further, and they have to be drawn. They're drawn back. And
Well,
I
that's the
that
thing,
something...
because it's like they're... You said it's like they're, like, you know, they get drawn back.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It seems like they're being called, but there's no confirmation on that.
Yeah, they leave it
just
ambiguous.
Like, well, no, it
Or
doesn't
not
leave it
ambiguous.
ambiguous. It just leaves it fucking...
Up in the air.
Huh? Just doesn't fucking say it.
Yeah.
That's not ambiguity. That's just fucking shit.
They just start acting like, well, they kind of just show them being saying that they're being drawn and stuff like that. They don't actually tell you that they're being drawn. It leaves the reader to assume that. And I know assumptions are the root of all fuck ups, but at the same time, this story does try and some of its devices lend itself to that.
But what I'm saying is, what the fuck is calling them? How is it calling them?
We don't know.
Why?
It's the unknown. It is that. The game, the horror of this is the fear of the unknown.
Shut up.
Okay.
What is calling them? Why is it calling them? What's going on?
Mm-hmm.
These are questions that, at some point, deserve the reader, especially reading this fucking thing, deserves an answer on. But we don't get one. Why? Because fuck you. That's why.
I mean, that probably wasn't the case. I mean, I think you could very well be right. It could be like that the guy just you know what? No, it's just a big troll thing. But I think it is more or less he wanted to leave the what was in the cave and all that to the imagination of the reader.
Okay, but I'm led to believe that it was just some creature.
Yeah.
Okay? That's what I'm led to believe. It has a lair. It blocks it with a fucking rock.
Yeah.
Okay. How the fuck is it drawing them back?
Yeah, we never given an answer for that.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, we are literally left to assume what the hell's going on.
No. We're left
left to
to
wonder.
come up with something on our own
yeah.
because the writer was too fucking lazy to come up with something on his own.
Okay, yeah. I can actually understand. Yeah, I can see that.
Because, like I say, in the story, all we get about it, we don't get a physical description because it's never seen.
Yeah, I think the
But we
closest
don't
thing-
know why it's
why it's calling
calling.
them or
Not
something.
even
Yeah.
why, because I'm assuming to eat.
Yeah.
It's the big beasties, go-to reason for wanting people to visit. It's why the witch built a gingerbread house.
Yeah.
But, how is it calling them?
Yeah.
There's no, with all of the dreams and shit, I would have expected,
I was
the cave to come up in the dreams.
Yeah.
The beast to,
Manifest somehow, or
even
just
see
a weird
eyes in the darkness.
Yeah.
Something. But there's none
Yeah.
of that. They're just going back because, fuck it, I bought a gun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He does. There is. Yeah, I understand what you mean. He does mention one thing called the hodag, which is like a cave creature from American folklore. But we never. That's the only descriptive thing we were ever given. Yeah,
he mentions it once.
Yeah.
Doesn't describe anything
And
about it really.
Yeah.
Leaving me to Google it, which I'm not gonna fucking do, because if you're too goddamn lazy to put it in your story, I'm not gonna research it. I'm not gonna do research to make your story better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you can't do it and put it in, this is the one place where I needed more writing in this.
Yeah.
I need to...
There's too much
I
writing
want to
in the wrong
know
places.
how the fuck this thing is calling you back. If that is what's going on.
Yeah. Because that's what it seems to be. But, I mean, we're not given a definitive answer about that.
Exactly.
It just seems that, they are drawn to it for reasons. It's kind of like...
And if you're not going to explain how, at least link it to whatever this creature is, concretely. By having the cave and, maybe some eyes, or maybe, the odor in your dream.
Yeah.
There is no reason for none of that to be there, and yet it's not.
Yeah. I'm thinking that's probably why it was wrong. Why I didn't like it the second time around was because I was actually thinking about this one critically, or more critically than I did last time.
Well, exactly. If you were just reading this for shits and giggles, it would just be, for me, it would be boring. But
for some
you're going to
people,
probably ignore the boring and focus
you wanna know
on
what's
this
going on.
cool monster.
Yeah.
And if you're reading for entertainment, you're more prone to skim and to, in some cases, skip sections.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, and I do remember this one taking me at least 2 or 3 days to read.
And then
so,
yeah,
off and on.
So all of that would make the dry bits,
You're expecting
at
to pay
the very
off at the
least, slightly more bearable. and any more bearable would be just amazing. And then, you know, when you get to the good stuff, you know, you slow down and you focus, and that's really what you take away from the story is, you know, the parts with the monster or whatever. But when we're reading this, because we're going to talk about it, I need something to talk about, so I've got to read the whole damn thing. And I still didn't.
Yeah.
I unapologetically skipped entire chunks of this story. And nothing there, I didn't miss anything.
No, you're. Yeah, it's pretty much.
I didn't read the whole damn thing, and yet I know I didn't miss anything.
Yeah, and that's not the good sign of a. That's not the sign of a good story when you can just skim filler. Yeah, likely what happened was that this guy wrote these in entries, like in like separate entries across over like a course of a few like weeks or something like that. And then when it came to like actually figure out what the monster was, he probably just he left it like up in the air because he didn't know how to make it freakier, or he didn't know if anything would actually make it creepy.
And that's fine. Leave it to the reader's imagination. Leave it up in the air. But there are give
us some like limit or some hints to what this thing can do or what it's capable of.
Exactly, because right now it's fucking, you know, like Beast crossed with Charles Xavier crossed with, you know, a dank-ass stink of death.
Mm-hmm. To draw that now. Anyway, yeah, no, I get what you're saying. It's like, yeah, all right. So yeah, bottom line, like too many words.
There's
in the
no
wrong places.
Stopping this monster or creature or whatever it is from shooting lightning out of its fingertips.
Yeah, or immolating through, or just like breathing fire,
or just fucking thinking about it, someone on the other side of the earth bursts into flame.
Yeah.
Or just fucking, you know, turns to dust.
And it's just content to stay in
because it just has this ridiculous escalation for no reason that isn't explained, isn't just, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But fuck me, I know every goddamn painful stroke and hammer blow and drill press of digging out that fucking hole.
Yeah. Like I said, too many words in the wrong place in this story. At least as far as like in trying to enjoy this, like, and I know people who did enjoy who actually did enjoy the amount of words for just like digging a hole. I'm not entirely sure why, but I guess some people like that kind of stuff. They like to read cave journals or caving journals.
And that's fine.
And that's an appeal.
It was supposed to be a caving.
Yeah, it was supposed to be a creepy story about going into a cave and finding a monster or finding something horrific in it.
Exactly.
And they never actually, yeah. So, okay. So I won't recommend this one based on what we have discussed. Because, yeah, unless you're really into reading tedious
if you want to read a caving journal, read a caving journal. You want to read a creepypasta, and this is the one in front of you, open a new tab and look for something else.
Yeah, because I'm sure there are other like creepypastas out there where somebody goes into the ground and finds something horrific that may be a little bit more exciting. This one, maybe even a little bit more entertaining.
Maybe just.
So, do you have anything else to say about this one, or have we drawn it out as much as this thing has been drawn out?
No. I think I made all my points. I made my Great Escape reference.
Yeah. I kind of want to watch The Great Escape interspliced with The Descent now.
I thoroughly enjoyed both movies, so.
All right. So, I suppose with that, that has been this week's episode of wow. With that, this has been this week's episode of Al Dente Rigamortis. As always, you can send us comments in the comment section below wherever this gets posted. We are both on Twitter now at Review Cultist and at Dr. Leviathan. We're on iTunes now, so you can send us a review. That'd be awesome. Tell us how we're doing. And you can also send us a email at aldenterigamortis@gmail.com. That's aldenterigamortis@gmail.com, where you can also send us suggestions for other creepypastas you'd like to hear us discuss on the show. So, until next time, I have been your host, Review Cultist.
And I'm Dr. Leviathan.
And this has been Al Dente Rigamortis. Sleep well.